Listen, if you know me, I know that there are a few people here who know me, then you remember I never use PowerPoint. I always draw on the screen, but here we have problems with connecting laptop to this device. Okay, so I will be not drawing anything, and this is really bad thing. And of course, we are still late, so I will have to do some shortcuts and just say what I can say without drawing anything. On the screen, okay, on the screen, there is a paper. I didn't have any choice, okay? So I should use something to display, but this is just opportunity to say something that I normally don't say. You see, I came to Istanbul Design Center when it was its first year. Exactly first year. And starting from this time, I am still with Istanbul Design Center. Sometimes I'm coming to Istanbul Design Center 2-3 times a year. Sometimes when there was pandemic, we limited our meetings. So I moved to online teaching. And I'm still with Istanbul Design Center, and usually every fall we do a workshop that is 12 weeks, sometimes 15 weeks, and we're talking about various aspects of the geometric patterns. So I know that many of you attended these workshops and they learned quite a lot. By the way, I have a few students from these workshops who are doing really very good jobs on their own. So Laila is one of my favorite students, and she is such eager when she's getting a new pattern. She spends all her nights and days until she will send me the final version. Okay. Another person here is Richa. Okay. She is quite fast. You see, normally everybody thinks that I am fast, but she is faster. When I teach any pattern, Richa is doing the same pattern, just watching me on the computer screen. And then when the class is over, I get emails from Richa with patterns finished. She's a very, very good example. And of course, there are other students who are not here. For example, Zainab from Iran. Zainab is also very, very active. But she has also quite her own ideas. So very often we are meeting after the class and we are discussing what she wanted to do and how she did this. I think Zainab is the student with whom I have permanent contact. Even today, I got her message on the WhatsApp, and she was asking, who is here? Okay, and you have all good greetings from her. Okay, so this was my first beginning with IDC, and as I said, I'm still with IDC until now. So I got older and older with IDC, and this is not IDC fault, okay? But listen, working with patterns, this is not only just drawing, this is learning. You see, I'm a mathematician. And for me, patterns, this is mathematics. Believe me, patterns, this is mathematics. Over the years, I wrote a number of papers. So when you look at this paper, oh, there is no number here. This paper, it is 11 or 12 in the queue. There is at least 1 or 2 more. Okay, and after this workshop, there will be 1 more paper that I will be finishing in fall. All these papers are mathematical papers related to patterns. And they are online. So if you take this title and if you search for this title, you will find other papers by me. So that's my activity, and that's what I'm doing. Doing research on patterns, drawing them, cooperating with people, and so on, and so on, and so on. Patterns have also a kind of emotional influence on me. You see, when I came first time to Istanbul, when I went through mosques, it was just fascinating story. And starting from this time, I am still with Ottoman architecture and Ottoman patterns. But some other people had influence on me, and they were showing me other things. There was time when I went to Uzbekistan, to Hiva, and it was a nice day, very warm, 38 degrees. Okay, so you imagine walking in 38 degrees in Ichanhala, where there is really walls and concrete, but it was nice. When I came home, it was a very small guest house. I took my dinner, I sat outside, and I started feeling like being in a different world. You see, you look around, you see desert. The building is just one building, nothing else. And you hear from somewhere dogs are barking. And you just think, you are on the Silk Road. That's a Silk Road, and the sand is around, and you see all these whistling of wind in the branches of bushes, and I started feeling like being on the Silk Road and just waiting for camels that will be coming and passing through. And 2 years ago, I think it was 2 years ago, when Laila was showing me the Silk Road between Konya and Kayseri. We went through every mosque, we went through every Han, we made a lot of photographs, we spent hours discussing. So this was another push for me to get me back on the good ground. But from my perspective, I see evolution of patterns. I see evolution of patterns. If I go to Uzbekistan, many things started in Uzbekistan. Many kind of patterns started in India. They were developed in Iran. Iran, this is paradise for decagonal patterns. And trust me, I'm collecting Iranian and Turkish patterns for years. I have a huge collection of patterns which I never draw, never had time, okay? I have also a collection about a few hundreds of drawings ready to be published. And this is just the beginning of the story. And every new pattern which I get, this is the starting of a new story. I just look at the pattern, I try to find out how it was made. As soon as I know everything about him, I'm losing my interest. I start thinking, okay, how can I change this pattern? How can I drive from this pattern something new, something special? So over the time, I made a number of new patterns, and in Konya, there is Kundekari family. Well, this is a family, but this is also a big company. And for some time we were working on patterns. They developed special kind of patterns, decagonal patterns. We were working on expanding it. I made a few good patterns based on their approach. And the problem with their patterns is that if you give them to somebody else, he will tell you, this is impossible to do. This is impossible to do. This pattern doesn't work. Okay? But it works, and it is very special. I was also working with İsmet Terzi. İsmet Terzi is a Kundekari master from Istanbul. Perfect man. And he developed also a few good patterns that I am going to show you later. Not today, because today, no, not much time. But İsmet Terzi did a few really good developments using golden ratio and the golden hexagons. Okay, if you check his works, you will find golden hexagons in his designs. This is the only place where you can find it. No one else did this. Okay, so let me to spend a few minutes on this paper. I said there is 12 or 13 papers finished and published. You can always get them through the internet. And these are really research papers in mathematics. Okay? But what you have here, this paper was presented during the conference in Ankara. Okay? Just before my trip through Anatolia. And it is a long paper, and it is just dealing with patterns that we are having here. Unfortunately, this scale of this drawing is not very good, okay? But what I want to say, when you're traveling through Anatolia, you often seeing various places, Hans. This is the Silk Road. And just use your imagination to see the camels passing through it, okay? And most of these Hans are built in such a way that the front wall was covered by many different patterns. So, for example, this drawing here, that's a part of this wall, and you have nice decagonal pattern, okay? Then you have pattern built on rectangular geometry. Then this is beautiful pattern that is using 12-fold rosette and 8-fold rosettes. So this is a really very nice thing, and you can try to make it, or we can try to make it. Then this is a pattern from here, from Sivas, and you have 3 panels like this, and you have also patterns there, and you have patterns on top of this. They look like this, and the one here is using just pure hexagonal geometry, very nice and very easy to do. This one here is a very special decagonal pattern, which is existing only here in Anatolia. but it is related to Selçuks from Iran. So if you look at the geometry, you will find the geometry of this pattern is a typical Selçuk geometry from Iran. Well, the Selçuk in Anatolia were the same Selçuks that you had them in Iran. They just moved farther to the west. Okay? So this is what you will be seeing in these places. By the way, these patterns, when a person who doesn't know anything about patterns look at something like this, his or her eyes will be completely lost. It is a maze, okay? So you have to just find out how you can approach this. And the first thing you have to see what are the ways approaching of this pattern. So what I was drawing here, I draw the lines. These are the mirror lines. And if you look, this is the same, okay? If this is the mirror line, the top part and the bottom part is a mirror, one of the other. So, in fact, you don't need to do the whole pattern. You just need only this part, and that will be absolutely enough for you. Yes, and who is living here in Sivas? If you are here, go to the bookshop. Find a book by Bulut. The name is Bulut. He wrote a very good catalog of Selçuk patterns in Anatolia. It is really very good book, and you will find a lot of rectangles like this. You will find rectangles like this. So he was doing very good research of Anatolian patterns. I think this is at the moment absolutely the best book you can just find. So this whole pattern here, it is just made out of one piece like this, reflections, reflections, reflections. Okay, I'm cheating here a bit because these patterns are the patterns interlaced, and reflections doesn't work well with interlace. But if you ignore interlace, you will see reflections, okay? The red lines are the reflection lines. So, like mirrors. So that's the pattern from Kayseri. Here we have pattern from Ankara, and what I did here, I am just showing here which fragments of the pattern are enough to make it. You don't need to create a whole pattern. You just need a fragment that will give you everything. You see, there are so-called scrolls of architects. In Uzbekistan, they say daftari. Okay. What are the daftars? Daftars are the scrolls, it means long papers, pieces glued together with patterns. Patterns, just the fragments like these. This, if you see anywhere in any museum, such a scroll, try to spend some time and look at it. It has usually a lot of good information. But in Istanbul, you have Topkapi scroll. So Topkapi Daftar, it is Iranian work, and it has a lot of good patterns. Mostly decagonal patterns, but this is a work from Istanbul. It is stored in the museum in Istanbul, okay? At the moment, it is hard to say where this scroll exists, because somebody told me that it was taken to the Ministry of Culture, to the National Museum, and so on. So hunting for it may be difficult. Okay, so first thing, find the area that you really need to restore the whole pattern. Then start thinking about geometry. You see, I was talking a decagonal pattern, octagonal, hexagonal, but you need some experience to say what kind of geometry your pattern is using. Some patterns are tricky. Some patterns are very simple. You look and you know what you have. Some other patterns, you will be looking for hours and you will be not able to say, what is this? Okay? So here what you have, nice thing. This is Karate Madrasa in Konya. You know, last time in Karate Madrasa, I spent about hours and they couldn't get me out. Okay, it was late afternoon, but then the next day we went again there. Okay, Karate Madrasa has a lot of good things, and this marble pattern in front of Karate Madrasa is just asking to touch it. Okay, just go and touch it. Okay, this is so nice marble. And its construction is very simple, and this is pattern based on squares, on grid of lines like this, or you can take it like the rectangle square like this, okay? And then you can construct these things one by one, step by step. Karate Madrasa, this is really perfect place. But just remember, Karate Madrasa has a few big traps. One of the traps in Karate Madrasa is a green pattern, green decagonal pattern that is unique, and you will not find it anywhere else. It exists only in Konya, in Karate Madrasa, nowhere else. And by the way, I don't think that there is even one person who noticed this. The pattern, decagonal pattern from Karate Madrasa is using decagonal rosette, but this is not the classic rosette that is in decagonal patterns. This is the rosette with different proportions. Okay, it is also following golden ratio proportion, but it's different. Another pattern with this type of rosette you will find in Topkapi Palace, in the main gate to the Topkapi Palace Park. On the side you will see the big gate, and you will find also the pattern. Not many people see it, okay? But this is very special pattern. If I remember, none of my colleagues said that this is correct pattern. They say, this is nonsense. And I say, no, that is not nonsense. This is perfectly done pattern. Only you have to know how it was made. Anyway, main gate to the Topkapi Park, okay? First gate to the Topkapi Palace is this pattern. I can show you one day how to construct it, but it is work for 2-3 hours, okay? So these are two places where you have this special rosette, which is not following the Ottoman rosette. Otherwise, Ottoman rosette is everywhere in Istanbul. Ottoman rosette is everywhere in Bursa, in Edirne. So you will find it in many places. Ottoman rosette is a special one. they used special trick to make it bigger. Normally, a rosette is not as big like this one in Ottoman architecture. The rosette in Ottoman architecture is bigger. Okay, then in these patterns, please could you break me when I will have to finish? Because I can talk to the early morning, okay? Ottoman patterns using various techniques. One of them is like this. It is a kind of kundekari approach, okay? So you have polygons and you have ribs around them. But you can also have interlaced patterns, and interlaced patterns are mainly in Anatolia. In Anatolia, you will find practically only interlaced patterns, and they are really very interesting designs. Anyway, I think this is my, oh, I went through. Okay, so this is how interlace working. You see, this is the interlace. The line is going up, then is hiding down. This one is going up, then is hiding down, okay? So that's a typical interlace that you are getting in Selçuk architecture, and there is a lot of it. But then you have different hexagonal patterns, okay? That's the pattern here. It is from Sivas, and then you have just steps how it was constructed. Divide the edge into 4 parts, okay? Find the center of it and connect segments like this, and then just take points halfway and then push parallel lines. You will get a triangle like this, and then you will get the hexagon this way, okay? So that's a typical hexagonal pattern from Anatolia. Do you have another one? And that's the same one. You see, with patterns in Anatolia, quite often we are getting into something that is just missing so much that we cannot recover it, okay? So here you see all these gaps, yeah? And you have to just use your imagination just to get another hexagonal pattern, okay, from Ali to Sitomp, and it looks like this, just by dividing the edge into parts in just getting lines and so on, okay. And in fact, you have 2 versions of this pattern, one like this and another one like this. What is happening often in Anatolia, patterns that were built on regular polygons, squares, hexagons, triangles, okay. So, for example, this pattern was built on a structure like this, okay. And you have here the structure, how it looks, square, half of the square, half of square, triangle, triangle, square, part of hexagon, part of hexagon. And then what you have to do, you have to just construct elements for each of these fragments, for each of these red polygons. And then you're getting a thing like this, okay? It looks like this, okay? That's the original, that's our copy. And of course you can play with this, you can make these belts thicker, okay, no problem with this, okay? And a typical Selçuk feature is that, you see what they did, they often made the belt so thick that this part was completely covered, okay? So that's a specific Selçuk feature. But just remember, these patterns were carved, they were carving them. So the less you have carved, the better is for you. Okay. Then what you have octagonal geometry. This is another pattern from Saruhan in Avanos. Very nice, very simple pattern, and you have its construction here. Okay, and then what I am trying to do here, I am introducing polygons for octagonal patterns. You see, the polygonal approach came in 16th century. If you take a book by Rempel, the book about geometric patterns in Uzbekistan, he's using polygons, and he's showing how the patterns in Uzbekistan were created using polygons. So the biggest tradition of using polygons in designing patterns is in Uzbekistan, and is also in Iran. The Topkapi scroll has a lot of patterns with polygons. So this is what you are getting. So here I am introducing polygons for octagonal things, okay. The octagonal geometries, at least in this area, is not very complicated. The most complicated octagonal geometry is in Morocco, but this is completely different world, different angles and different patterns, but interesting. Okay, so here you will be getting things like this, okay, and patterns like this from Konya, okay, and that is from Nigde, okay. And here I put another pattern which doesn't belong to Anatolia, that's Edirne. I really like this pattern, okay? And you have construction of this pattern from Edirne. I'm just showing how it was made, okay? That is octagonal pattern, and a very, very good thing. I think Richa may have something like this octagonal in her book. Okay, and then we are going to decagonal patterns, and in decagonal patterns you have the most interesting geometry, and decagonal geometry is my hobby. Okay, so I guess I know more about decagonal geometry than any person whom I know. Okay. So, but what you're getting here, you're getting simple things like this, okay? And here I introduce also polygonal geometry, okay? I will come back to this part in my next class because I really want to spend some time and draw something. But just for a brief moment, this is what you have here. This is from Ince Minaret Madrasa. And this is just a piece of stone, not much left. And if you are looking at this piece of stone, you're getting a rectangle like this. That's the rectangle, okay? And these are the polygons that you have here. This is a very popular approach in decagonal patterns in Selçuk architecture. In Bulut book, you will find a lot of patterns following this geometry. But in Iran, it's the same. You see, I will be showing next time the pattern from Maraga Tower. And Maraga Tower is quite complex pattern built on tangent decagons. You have one decagon, you have another decagon, okay? And tangent decagons are forming skeleton for Maraga Tower. That's all, okay? And of course, there's one thing that you have to remember. Here, this decagon was filled with shapes like this, okay? This shape, usually in Iran, has a name Sormedan, okay? But you can put this thing, when you have big area, no vertical line, you can put this thing anywhere you want, okay? You can rotate it. So you're looking at two identical patterns and you say, they are different. Why? Because they have just different rotations. Okay? And that is what you could get from this previous drawing, okay? From this drawing, you're getting a thing like this. If you get more copies, you're getting a thing that is more complicated. And the pattern like this one on the right side, many people will tell you, oh, I am lost, okay? But if you know how the pattern was built, you will be not lost. Okay, I think this is all from me for today. Despite of everything, I said everything what I wanted, okay? So thank you. Listen, if you have any questions, just ask, okay? You don't need to ask now, but we still have a few days, so you can always come to me and ask. Okay, thank you.